Most riders think being a real rider is about speed, gear, or miles logged. It's not. Real riders know the quiet habits that protect control, safety, and the bike itself. In this video, you'll uncover 21 motorcycle secrets that go far beyond the basics, revealing how seasoned riders avoid costly mistakes and ride with confidence every day. These habits form a hidden pattern that only reveals itself at the very end. Miss that final insight, and you miss what truly makes a rider. Number 21. Fuel range must be learned, not trusted. Most riders glance at the gauge and ride on. Real riders know better. Fuel readings on motorcycles are guesses at best. Sensors sit in shallow tanks, thrown off by hills, braking, lean angle, and fuel slosh. One stretch of highway can make the display look generous. The next exit proves it was lying. That false reassurance is how riders end up coasting onto shoulders, not because they pushed limits, but because they trusted a screen. Older machines taught this lesson the hard way. No gauge, no warning. You learn distance through repetition, not electronics. Modern dashboards feel precise, but the weakness never disappeared. Digital bars still lose accuracy long before fuel becomes critical. Experienced riders build certainty manually. Trip meter reset at every fill. Attention paid to miles, conditions, wind, and throttle habits. Over time, the bike teaches you its truth. Speaking of the fuel range, which bike taught you not to trust the fuel gauge, and what exactly tipped you off? Was it a certain mileage number, highway riding, wind, elevation, or the way the last bar vanished? Drop the bike and the distance you actually get before reserve, because that's the number riders need to hear. If you've been here a while, you already know what Iron Pulse is about. We drop the essentials, old school, rider-made style, the cap, for long miles and windy days, the T, for the garage, the ride, and everywhere in between, the mug, for early starts and late nights planning the next run. No hype, just the mark. 20% off right now. Link in the description down below. Knowing your range sharpens awareness, but awareness alone doesn't guarantee control. You can manage distance perfectly and still feel inconsistency every time you roll on the throttle. That subtle delay most riders ignore isn't normal. It's the next warning. Real riders recognize because smooth control is always the next step forward. Number 20. Throttle cables and inputs degrade silently. This is a lesson riders feel before they can explain it. The throttle still works, but something feels off. A slight delay, a heavier twist, a response that no longer matches intent. Throttle cables wear quietly. Inside the sheath, steel strands stretch, collect grit, dry out, and begin resisting movement. Nothing fails all at once. Control erodes a little at a time. Most riders blame age, fuel mapping, or imagination. That hesitation is dangerous thinking. Uneven throttle input affects balance, corner exits, and low-speed control. When the grip does not return cleanly, precision disappears exactly when traffic, curves, or emergency moves demand it. And if you're here to sharpen control, eliminate hesitation, and ride with intention instead of guesswork, hit the like button, drop a hype, and subscribe. That commitment is what keeps us focused on the quiet details that separate smooth riders from surprised ones. Seasoned riders inspect cables regularly, especially after rain, dust, or long miles. They check free play, spring return, and smooth travel, but movement is only half the equation. The moment you need to slow down, every hidden weakness shows itself. Most riders wait for obvious brake problems. Real riders understand the danger comes earlier, which leads directly to the next critical system most riders ignore. Number 19. Brake performance fades from fluid, not pads. When braking starts to feel vague, most riders stare at the calipers. Worn pads get blamed, rotors get questioned. The real problem is usually invisible. Brake systems live on fluid, and that fluid quietly degrades long before hardware looks tired. Brake fluid absorbs moisture from the air over time. Heat turns that contamination into a liability. Under repeated stops, traffic crawling, or long downhill stretches, the fluid warms and loses its ability to transmit force cleanly. Instead of solid pressure, the lever feels soft, travels farther, and responds late. Not because pads failed, but because liquid no longer behaves like liquid. Pad fade announces itself loudly. Fluid fade does not. It builds mile after mile, ride after ride, until stopping power disappears exactly when it is needed most. Seasoned riders replace fluid on schedule, not on feel. Fresh fluid restores clarity, confidence, and control. And if this system depends on fluid condition, imagine what another overlooked component does when voltage quietly drops. When one silent component weakens, it distorts everything it touches, and recognizing that reality pushes you to the next layer of real rider knowledge, understanding what powers the entire system. Number 18. Battery voltage stability controls modern bikes. Many riders think the battery's job ends once the engine fires. That idea belonged to another era. Today's motorcycles run on electronics as much as metal. Fuel injection, ignition timing, traction systems, anti-lock braking, dashboards and lighting all depend on steady voltage. Not just a strong start, the battery acts like a buffer while riding. It smooths electrical swings from the charging system and keeps sensors reading correctly. When voltage drops or fluctuates, engines hesitate, displays glitch, lights dim, and control units behave unpredictably. None of this announces itself loudly. It shows up as small annoyances that riders dismiss until the bike refuses to cooperate. Batteries wear quietly, especially on machines that sit or power accessories. Replacement costs are modest compared to the damage unstable voltage can cause elsewhere. If you've ever chased a strange hesitation, flickering dash, or random warning light that ended up being battery or charging related, what bike were you riding and how did you finally track it down? Share that in the comments. Electrical issues fool even experienced riders, and those real fixes help others recognize the signs sooner. Understanding electrical health separates owners from operators, but it also reveals a deeper truth. Nothing on a motorcycle exists in isolation. Every change affects balance, response, and longevity. Most riders modify first and diagnose later. Real riders think ahead, and that mindset naturally leads to the next direction: system awareness. Number 17. Modifications must work as a system. Many riders add parts one piece at a time, chasing sound, style, or a promise on a box. Real riders think differently. A motorcycle is a balance of forces: engine output, fueling, suspension movement, braking response, and electronic aids are designed to cooperate. Change one element without accounting for the rest, and that balance shifts. A freer flowing exhaust alters how gases leave the engine. Without matching fuel delivery, throttle response suffers and heat rises. Stiffer suspension can sharpen handling. But without tires and brakes that match the new pace, stability disappears right when confidence grows. Even simple automatons can upset steering geometry or confuse traction systems if compatibility is ignored. Experienced riders upgrade with intention. They tune, calibrate, and verify that every change supports the whole machine. Because performance is not about parts, it is about harmony. And once the bike is working as one, there is only one thing left that truly protects the rider inside it. What remains is fit, function, and reality. That realization pulls us into the next chapter of real riding, personal protection that actually works. Number 16. Helmet fit determines protection, not price. If one piece of equipment decides whether you stand up after a crash, this is it. Not the brand, not the graphics, the way it fits your head. A helmet only works when it stays planted, evenly loaded, and correctly positioned the instant things go wrong. Safety authorities make this clear. A helmet must sit snug without hot spots, match your head shape, and resist movement when you shake or pull. If it slides, lifts, or rotates, impact energy is no longer managed the way it was designed. An expensive shell that shifts is no better than a loose bargain lid. Seasoned riders measure carefully, try multiple shells, and reject anything that feels casual. Comfort matters because discomfort leads to poor fastening and bad habits. Certification matters because standards save lives. Used helmets are a gamble no smart rider takes because unseen damage and altered fit 𝐏𝐄𝐑 protection. Proper protection saves you in a moment, but real rider mistakes often happen after the ride ends. Some damage isn't dramatic. It's slow, quiet, and patient. Water doesn't announce itself, it settles in. And understanding that threat brings us to the next overlooked enemy, working against long-term reliability. Number 15. Moisture is a mechanical accelerant. Water isn't just rain, it's a silent destroyer. It corrodes metal, washes away lubrication, and creeps into electrical connectors, silently wearing down chains, bearings, pivots, and wiring. Left unchecked, small moisture problems become costly failures far from home. Real riders fight moisture proactively, drying the bike after wet rides, lubricating chains and pivot points, applying corrosion inhibitors, and storing the bike under cover or indoors. These habits prevent rust, binding, and electrical faults before they start. A new chain costs $100 to $150, sprockets $30 to $60, while sprays rarely exceed $50. Tiny investments compared to breakdowns or stranded rides. Every rider who's been around long enough has a moisture lesson. A seized link, a green connector, a frozen pivot. What part on your bike showed the damage first? And what routine did you add afterward to keep it from happening again? Share that below, like and subscribe. Those details help other riders recognize the warning signs earlier. Moisture destroys machines over time, but crashes test riders instantly. In those moments, instinct takes over. Hands reach out before thought catches up. And that single reaction determines the outcome. Recognizing that reality leads directly to the next answer. Real riders prepare for protecting what hits first. Number 14. Hand protection decides outcomes. Most riders say they understand gloves, yet many treat them as optional. In reality, your hands are the first thing your body sacrifices when gravity takes over. In a fall, instinct takes control. Palms reach for pavement before thought ever catches up. Without protection, asphalt does not forgive. Skin tears joints, twist, nerves suffer damage that lingers long after the bike is repaired. Well-built gloves change that story. Abrasion-resistant materials allow the hand to slide instead of grab. Reinforced palms spread impact. Armor absorbs force that would otherwise travel straight into bones and tendons. Riders wearing proper gloves consistently walk away with injuries that heal, not limitations that stay. Protection reduces consequences, but control prevents problems altogether. Many riders chase power without realizing their bike already holds more usable performance. Not in horsepower, but in delivery. Unlocking that truth moves us to the next step ahead, where we look at how gearing quietly reshapes every ride. Number 13. Gearing shapes real-world performance. When a motorcycle feels breathless, climbing hills, or strained at highway speed, the problem is rarely horsepower. More often, it is how that power is being delivered. Gearing decides whether your engine feels eager or exhausted, responsive or reluctant. It is the quiet translator between your right wrist and the pavement beneath you. The relationship between the front and rear sprockets determines how force reaches the rear wheel. Shorter gearing gives sharper drive and stronger pull-off corners. Taller gearing lowers engine speed at cruise, calming vibration and easing long miles. Neither is better by default. Each serves a different kind of riding. Seasoned riders adjust gearing to match real roads, not spec sheets. One subtle sprocket change can completely change a bike's character. And once you feel that difference, you start noticing that dialing in performance feels like mastery until time enters the equation. Power means nothing if it doesn't last. Engines don't fail suddenly, they wear down predictably. And understanding that pattern brings us to the next fundamental secret: why timing matters more than branding when protecting what's inside. Number 12. Oil longevity depends on timing, not branding. Walk into any shop and riders argue labels like they argue sports teams: synthetic, racing blend, premium formulas. But the engine does not care about the logo. It cares about time. Motorcycle oil lives a brutal life. High heat, shared gearboxes, constant shear, and endless heat cycles slowly strip away its protective strength. What starts clean and slippery turns thin, dirty, and stressed. When oil stays in too long, bearings lose their cushion, cams polish themselves raw, and heat lingers where it should not. A perfectly chosen oil changed late does more harm than a modest one changed on schedule. Mileage matters, but so does the calendar. Moisture and oxidation keep working even when the bike sits. Fresh oil protects what you can't see, but grip is where theory meets reality. A tire can look perfect and still betray you. Rubber ages silently, losing the very thing riders trust most. Recognizing that danger pushes us to the next layer of control, where appearance stops mattering and chemistry takes over. Number 11. Tire age erases grip before tread disappears. Most riders judge tires by grooves alone. If tread looks healthy, they keep riding. But rubber does not stay the same with time. Long before a tire looks worn, the compound begins to harden. Heat cycles, sunlight, oxygen, and ozone slowly change its chemistry. What once flexed and conformed to the road becomes stiff and uncooperative. That hardened rubber cannot grip the surface the way it once did. Braking distances grow. Corner confidence fades. Wet pavement becomes unpredictable. This is why manufacturers recommend replacing tires by age, not appearance. After roughly 5 to 6 years, grip is already slipping away, even if tread depth looks generous. The date code on the sidewall tells the real story. Experienced riders always check it, because when traction disappears, it does not announce itself. It simply lets go. If you've ever trusted a tire because the tread looked good, only to feel it slide, drift, or lose confidence, hit like so more riders see this warning. And tell us in the comments, how old was that tire and what moment made you realize age was the real problem? Those real-world lessons help other riders spot the danger before traction disappears. And with that, we're stepping into the top 10. If this is the kind of detail you wish you'd known earlier, drop some hype and subscribe, because from here on, each secret builds directly on the last, and missing one can undo the rest. Number 10. Suspension preload controls geometry, not comfort. Many riders twist preload adjusters expecting a softer or harsher ride. That assumption misses the real function entirely. Preload decides where your suspension sits in its travel before the bike even moves. It sets ride height, balance, and chassis attitude long before comfort enters the conversation. When preload is miss it, the motorcycle rides too high or sinks too low, changing rake, trail, and weight transfer. Braking feels unsettled. Corner entry becomes vague. Acceleration loads the wrong end of the bike. None of that comes from spring stiffness. It comes from altered geometry. The change in feel fools people. It feels firmer or plusher because usable travel shifts, not because the suspension improved. Experienced riders measure sag and set preload deliberately, protecting handling and expensive components. But precision doesn't stop at the wheels. Inside the engine, performance can weaken without obvious failure. Spark doesn't vanish, it fades. And catching that decline before it steals efficiency is the next mark of mechanical awareness. Number 9. Ignition efficiency fades before failure. Most riders think ignition parts either work or they do not. That belief is expensive. In reality, ignition systems grow tired long before they quit. Spark plugs, coils, and wiring slowly lose strength, and the engine keeps running just well enough to hide the problem. Power softens, throttle response dulls, fuel economy slips without explanation. Combustion depends on a strong, consistent spark. As plugs wear and coils age, that spark weakens. Timing becomes less precise. The bike may hesitate under load or idle unevenly, signs many riders ignore because the engine still starts. Experienced riders pay attention early. They replace plugs before gaps grow excessive and inspect coils before corrosion spreads. Catching fading ignition saves performance, prevents breakdowns, and protects internal components. But some damage doesn't come from neglect, but from convenience. Mounts, bags, and accessories promise ease, yet quietly leave permanent marks. Understanding that risk leads us to the next hidden cost, most riders discover too late. Number 8. Accessories cause hidden cosmetic damage. Most riders see accessories as protection or convenience. Saddlebags, crash bars, tank pads, luggage racks. They look harmless, even helpful. But real riders learn a quieter lesson. Anything bolted to a motorcycle can move, vibrate, and rub. And when it does, paint and plastics pay the price. Poor fitment slowly scours finishes. Dust and grit get trapped between mounts and panels. Vibration turns that grit into sandpaper. The damage does not show up overnight. It appears months later as dull patches, fine scratches, and worn edges that never polish out. Resale value drops. Pride follows. Experienced riders choose accessories for precise fit and stable mounting, not price or looks. Protecting the bike's exterior preserves value, but preserving its internals requires self-awareness. How you sit, grip, and support yourself changes how the bike ages beneath you. Most riders blame components for wear they cause themselves. Real riders take the next step inward, recognizing their own role in longevity. Number 7. Rider posture loads mechanical components. Most riders think posture is about comfort. Real riders learn it is about mechanics. The way you sit becomes part of the machine. When weight is dumped onto the bars, every bump sends force straight into steering bearings and fork internals. When arms lock and shoulders tense, suspension loses the freedom to work the way it was designed. Poor posture quietly accelerates wear. Head bearings loosen. Bushings fatigue. Tires lose consistent contact because the chassis is constantly unsettled. None of this feels dramatic at first. It shows up later as vague steering, uneven tire wear, and a bike that never quite feels planted. Experienced riders support themselves with core and legs, not their hands. Light grip, balanced weight, relaxed control. And posture affects balance. But balance means nothing if power arrives unevenly. The chain translates intent into motion. When it's neglected, control disappears in small, dangerous ways. Understanding that connection leads directly to the next mechanical truth. Smoothness is a form of safety. Number 6. Chain condition shapes throttle smoothness. Long before a chain fails outright, it starts changing how your motorcycle feels. The chain is not just a moving loop of metal. It is the final pathway between the engine and the rear wheel, and any resistance there shows up directly at the throttle. When links bind, stretch unevenly, or run dry, power no longer flows cleanly. Roll-on becomes abrupt. Acceleration feels jerky. Steady cruising loses its smoothness. Riders often blame fueling or engine tuning, never realizing the drivetrain itself is causing the inconsistency. A healthy chain delivers predictable power, but traction decides whether that power is usable. Tire pressure isn't a fixed number. It's a moving target shaped by load, heat, and speed. Real riders don't memorize specs, they adapt. And adaptation is the next direction real skill always takes. Number 5. Tire pressure must match riding conditions. Many riders treat tire pressure like a fixed setting, something checked once and forgotten. In reality, it changes with temperature, speed, road surface, and load. When pressure drifts outside the sweet spot, control quietly disappears. Too little air allows excessive flex, builds heat, and dulls steering response. Too much air shrinks the contact patch, reducing grip and making the bike nervous over bumps or mid-corner. Both conditions increase stopping distance and stress suspension components designed for balanced loads. Your tires carry everything: the motorcycle, your gear, and every braking or lean input you make. Pressure decides how that weight meets the pavement. Experienced riders check pressure often and adjust for conditions, not convenience. Get this wrong, and another overlooked factor begins undermining reliability in ways most riders never test for. Most riders steer with their hands. Real riders steer with their eyes. Mastering that shift takes us into the next chapter of riding control, commanding direction before movement begins. Number 4. Vision discipline is a riding skill. Experienced riders understand that control begins with the eyes, not the hands. Where you look shapes speed, balance, line choice, and reaction time. Riding is not passive observation. It is active visual management. Skilled riders scan far ahead, monitor critical zones near the bike, and use peripheral awareness to track movement without fixation. The danger comes when vision narrows. Staring at obstacles pulls the motorcycle toward them. Looking too close shortens reaction time. Trained vision keeps the brain ahead of the machine, processing distance and motion before inputs are needed. A clear visor and proper helmet setup matter more than most realize. Scratches, glare, or poor fit distort information. Master vision discipline, and the road starts giving earlier warnings. Miss it, and another overlooked detail quietly limits your control even further, because vision control sharpens precision, but precision breaks down under stress. Heat builds quietly, ride after ride, shortening component life without obvious warning. Understanding how riding habits influence temperature is the next test of long-term thinking. Number 3, heat management extends engine life. Every motorcycle engine lives on the edge of extreme temperature. Combustion creates more heat than metal can tolerate without control, and longevity depends on how well that heat is managed. When temperature stays in balance, engines age slowly. When it does not, wear accelerates quietly. Overheating damage stacks up over time. Oil thins and loses its cooling ability. Clearances drift, seals harden, bearings lose their protective film. None of this triggers alarms right away, but reliability erodes mile after mile. Seasoned riders adjust habits to protect temperature. They avoid endless idling, heavy low-speed loading, and hard riding on a cold engine. These choices cost nothing, yet preserve thousands in engine life. Managing heat protects the future, but prevention protects everything. Failures rarely come without warning. They come when warnings are ignored. Real riders don't rely on luck, they build routines. That mindset leads directly to the next defining habit: catching problems while they're still small. Number 2, preventative checks stop expensive failures. Here's the reality. Every seasoned rider learns motorcycles rarely fail without warning. Most breakdowns come from missed signs. Preventative checks aren't obsessive. They're about catching small problems before they become costly or dangerous. A loose fastener, a fraying cable, a weeping seal, a battery that barely turns over. These are invitations to act, not failures themselves. A new battery runs roughly $80 to $200. Ignoring its health could fry a regulator costing up to $300. Chains and sprockets, let them wear unchecked, and 4-figure drivetrain repairs loom. Brake pads are cheap, but neglect overheated fluid or scored rotors, and repair hits $700 to $800. Real riders intercept issues early, save money, and ride with confidence. That's mechanical sympathy in action. But discipline alone doesn't make you a real rider. The final difference is respect, listening to feedback, adjusting behavior, knowing when to push and when to back off. All the secrets before this point forward to the next and final answer. But before we get to the final secret, if this video has helped you see riding differently, click that like button. And if you want to support us even more, become a member and get early access to the newest videos before anyone else. Because what comes next isn't just another tip, it's the one that ties everything together. Number 1, mechanical sympathy defines real riders. This is the quiet truth beneath every other secret on this list. Mechanical sympathy isn't a part you buy or a spec to memorize. It's a mindset. It's the difference between riders who keep bikes alive for decades and those who unknowingly accelerate wear. Real riders treat their motorcycles as systems to cooperate with, not objects to dominate. They feel changes in engine tone, vibration, resistance, or heat and respond before damage happens. Small daily habits add up: easing onto throttle, avoiding red lines on a cold engine, letting brakes and suspension work naturally, and performing preventive maintenance. Those habits save thousands in repairs and keep bikes predictable, safe, and alive, the ultimate mark of a true rider. And with this mindset, every other secret you just learned becomes actionable. Knowing how to anticipate wear, control traction, and manage fuel isn't just theory. It's part of a larger rhythm between rider and machine. You've just gone through the secrets that separate riders who react from riders who anticipate. And this is only a glimpse of what we have for you. If you want to push your skills even further and uncover the next level tricks pros use daily, stay with us. Click the next video to continue the road trip. Join our tribe by subscribing. And if you want to support the channel and get early access to our newest videos, become a member.